going to be talking about is Blood Red Roses, which closed on opening night at the Golden Theater in 1970.
Sad wooden soldier.
Blood Red Roses was a musical about the Crimean War that happened in Britain in the mid-1800s. That's not actually a joke, but it was actually intended to make a statement about Vietnam. The idea was that audiences would understand that a pointless war was a pointless war. So no matter what the time frame or lingo. So there were songs with titles like Song of the Fair Dissenter Lass, and also songs with titles like How Fucked Up Things Are. Newsday called it a British Christmas pantomime written by Bertolt Brecht.
Blood Red Roses actually wanted to play off-Broadway, but there was no house open that the producers felt was the right size. The Golden was open, and it held 800 seats, so the decision was made to play Broadway instead. The standby for the leading lady was a young Frances Sternhagen, and the show marked the Broadway debut of lighting designer Ken Billington and choreographer Larry Fuller, who would both go on to greener pastures.
The show received bad reviews, with Clive Barnes in the Times noting that the idea felt a little like a cop-out. But closing on opening night often conveys that a show was just a huge, terrible bomb. Sometimes this might be true, but sometimes, like in the case of Blood Red Roses, producers just seem to be shrewd, fast-moving, and realistic about their chances of becoming a hit. Blood Red Roses does have some great songs, which were preserved on a 45. How cool is that? Here to speak about his experience as lighting assistant on Blood Red Roses, Ken Billington.
I brought really interesting things. It wasn't my Broadway debut. It was my 9th Broadway show I worked on as an
I'm going to write a letter to IBD.
And I was 23 years old. It was like crazy. But you didn't read the program notes. The program notes make you want to run out and spend money. The history of a powerful nation becomes a long game of musical graves. This is a story of one round of such games. In 1814, Britain was allied with Russia against Napoleon. In 1854, the time of our play, she was allied with the French, led by Napoleon's nephew, and the Turks against Russia. In 1914, Britain was allied with Russia and France against Turkey, and her men killed and died at Gallipoli. Well, that was this musical. Now, I had actually worked on a few flops the season before. If you're Joe Allen's patrons, you've probably seen Fig Leaves Are Falling on the Wall. But the year before, I had done Maggie Flynn, The Fig Leaves Are Falling, Mother's Kisses, and Catch My Soul. Anybody ever heard of any of them? And so I knew about flops. I really did know about flops. But you're 23, so it's got to be good, right? So we go to the theater, and I'm the assistant lighting designer, and it's directed by the guy who directed Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. He had won a Tony for that. He did Samuel Beckett, and he did Edward Albee and Blood Red Roses. So the authors had never done anything. Michael Valenti did a brilliant score, which was great fun. And we all sat there, and it was a mess. It just was terrible. I knew it was terrible. But how do you fix a terrible show is that every day you change the running order.
Somebody tweet that.
The running order changed daily. I mean, and we were throwing body parts on stage. There was prop men in the wings just chucking body parts. And I was also working on the show at the time called Applause. The lady I was working for, Theron Musser, was doing Applause. And Applause got into a little bit of trouble in Detroit. And she said, I'm going to Detroit, you stay with this. And we would stay in the theater, and we would have 4 hours or 5 hours rehearsal every day. And we would take Act 1 and put it in Act 2, and Act 2 and put it in Act 1. And the audience would still leave. It was like, it would be like 600 or 700 people in there, Act 1. And Act 2, you could have any seat. I wish I could say bad things about everything because nobody knew what to do. So we just went and we did it. And I wish I could remember the opening night party, because that probably would have been fun. But maybe we got drink checks for the bar downstairs, but I don't. Anyway, it was terrible with a great score. I wish I could tell you that people beat each other up, but they didn't, because they did that in Virginia Wolf, so we